the next 6 weeks, I'm going to do a series of training videos talking about how to create the effects of rain on surfaces. And so this week, we're going to talk about making surfaces look wet. Next week, we're going to talk about creating raindrops. And then we're going to go on and talk about several other rain effects as well. So the first thing that I wanted to do is show this video. This is some footage that I took of rain falling at my house. And what we're looking at is the effects of rain and the kinds of things that it does. So in these videos, you can see that rain makes things wet. Rain has drops that collect on the surfaces of objects. Rain creates puddles, and the puddles have raindrop ripples in them. Rain slides down the sides of surfaces, and rain does all kinds of different things. So as I said, we're going to take a look at rain and the effects of rain for the next 6 weeks on this channel, and I'm going to create several different shaders that recreate these rain effects. So today we're going to focus on what it takes to make surfaces look wet. So let's jump right into the Unreal Material Editor and get started. Alright, so here we have a material that ships with Unreal. It's called M Brick Clay Old, and I duplicated it and called it M Brick Clay Old Wet. In this version of the material, we're going to add a couple of features that allow us to make the surface look wet. So what makes a surface look wet? Well, there are a couple of different things. Surfaces that are porous, that absorb water, get darker. So here we have the base color of the surface, and the base color of the surface gets darker and more saturated. So let's go ahead and do that just to start with. So I'm going to right click here and add a desaturation node. And if I plug my base color into the desaturation node, what you're going to see is that it just completely desaturates the color, and we end up with a color that's grayscale instead of color. And actually what we want is the opposite of that. We want to saturate it. Well, there's a little trick with this desaturation node, and that is if you pass it a negative value for how much desaturation you want, it actually saturates instead of desaturating. So I'm going to add a constant here, and I'm going to give it a value of -0.5, and then I'm going to wire that into the fraction. That's the amount of desaturation that I'm doing. And what you're going to notice here is instead of the surface being desaturated, now it's actually more colorful than it was before. And that's what happens to surfaces that get wet. They get darker and they get more saturated. Alright, so I'm going to add just to confuse you, I'm going to add a Saturate node here at the end. And this meaning of saturate is actually completely different than this meaning. This node here clamps our value between 0 and 1. It doesn't make the surface more vibrant or brighter. It just clamps our value between 0 and 1. So we're going to clamp our value, and then we're going to add a multiply. And this multiply is going to darken the surface, and so I'm going to add another constant value of 0.5. So here is my constant of 0.5, and I'll plug that into my multiply, and then I'll plug the result of that back into base color. And so what we're going to get here is a surface that is darker and more saturated than it was to begin with. And so this is what happens to surfaces when they absorb water. They get slightly more saturated and they get slightly darker. But what about surfaces that are porous? When water builds up on the surface of a material, it actually gets more smooth and it gets slightly less specular. And so we're going to mimic that effect next. So I'm going to, I'll just move my root node over here to give myself a little bit more space. Here is the roughness node that's coming in. And what we want to do is I'm going to add a constant 2 vector. And this node here is going to control my roughness and my specular values for water. So these are the roughness and specular values for the water that's pooling up on the surface. Now, water is really smooth, and so I'm just going to give it a roughness value of 0.07. And I'm going to give it a specular value of 0.3. Most surfaces have a specular value of 0.5, but water is slightly less reflective than most surfaces, believe it or not. Most people think that water is more reflective, but in actuality it's just slightly darker or less reflective than most surfaces. It's just that when you look at water at a glancing angle, you see reflection, but when you look at it straight on, it's slightly less reflective. Okay, so what we want to do is take our specular value and our roughness value of our original surface, and we actually don't have a specular value for the original surface, which means it's using the default 0.5. And so I'm just going to add a constant here to allow us to use that, explicitly specify 0.5. And then for roughness, we're going to take this guy here. And I'm going to append these two values together using append vector. And so we're going to put the roughness value into A and the specular value into B. So these are our original values, and these are our water values. And we want to blend between these two depending on how wet the surface is. So I'm going to add a linear interpolate node, and we're going to blend between our original values and our wet values based on this alpha value. And this alpha value is going to be how wet is the surface. I'm going to do the same thing with the base color. So I'm going to add another linear interpolate node, and we're going to blend between the original value and the wet value depending on how wet the surface is. So here I have two lerps that both need a wetness value. So let's just create a constant, and this is going to be how wet the surface is. I'm just going to make it 1 for now, and then I'm going to pass this into both of our lerps. And then this guy can go into base color, but this one needs to go into both roughness and specular. So I need to add a mask node. I'm going to use a component mask, and I'm going to mask out the X component for our roughness. And I'm going to mask out the Y component for our specular. All right, so now let's take a look at what we get with our brick clay old. So now you can see that the surface is shiny and more saturated and nice and wet. So this value here controls how wet the surface is. And if I give it a value of 0 and update, now you can see that it's dry. And if I set my value back to 1, it'll be wet. Yeah, so there you go. So pretty easy to create material that has a wetness control. Now the problem with this is I just added a whole ton of nodes to my material. And if I have to go through and add all of this to every material, it's going to be a lot of work. And so the next thing that I want to do, now that we've achieved the look of our wetness, is I want to show you how to make a material function. So I'm going to put all of these nodes into a single function, And then we're going to use, and so that becomes a single node. And then I just have one node that I can drop into my materials instead of a whole bunch of them. It's going to make it a whole lot easier. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and minimize my material here and come back to my content browser. And here in my content browser materials, I've created this new node called Wetness. And you'll notice that there's this light blue line under it instead of a green line. And what that is indicating is that this is a material function. It's not a material, it's a material function. I can create a new function if I right click here and pick under the materials and textures category, if I pick material function. Now I've already made this one, so I'm not going to do that right now, but this is how you create a new function. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up this one. And here it is. And let me just resize it here so that you can see what's going on. So the main difference between a material function and a standard material is that a standard material has a base node over here that everything plugs into. And a material function, instead of a base node, it has outputs and it has inputs. So my inputs here are red and my outputs over here are brown. So data comes in on the left side and it goes out on the right side. So here in my function, you can see that we're doing the exact same thing that we did in the shader just a minute ago. We have inputs for roughness and also for specular. Let me just resize this here so you can see the settings over here. So I added a new input and I named it roughness. I added another one and I named it specular. Then we append those together and lerp between that and the values for our wetness based on how wet things are. And then we split them up just like we did before, and then we output the roughness and the specular values. For our base color, you can see that we have our base color coming in, and then we desaturate it with a value of -0.5, and then we multiply it by 0.5 to darken it. We blend between our original base color and our adjusted wet base color based on how wet things are. Now you can see I have a wetness mask coming in. This defines what part of the surface is wet. And I also have this other factor called porousness. So here I can decide, is the surface porous or not? If a surface is absorbent, meaning the water can soak into it, then it's going to become more saturated and dark. But if it's not, then it's just going to become more smooth and slightly less specular. So I can define if my surface is absorbent or impermeable, porous or not porous. Alright, so this defines a single node, a material function, and then I can add that to my shader. Instead of adding all of these nodes, I can just add a single node. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to minimize my function. And here it is. And then I'm going to bring up the material that I was working on before. And now what I can do is grab this function from my content browser and drag it in. And you can see that it shows up as a single node. Instead of all of this spaghetti, now I just have one single node with my inputs and my outputs that make the surface wet. Pretty cool. There's one more thing that I want to show you, and that is the order that these inputs and outputs show up in. You'll notice that base color, specular, and roughness are in the same order that they are here on the base node. Base color, specular, and roughness. And there's a nice little way that you can define what order these inputs and outputs are in when they're on the individual node. And so I want to show you that just really quickly before we move on. So here I have roughness, specular, base color. They're not in the right order from top to bottom. But if I select one, you can see there's this box over here called sort priority. So what I've done is I've gone through these nodes and I've decided what order do I want them to show up in when I add this node into my material. So I want base color to be first, so I've given it a 0. And then I want specular to be next, so I've given it a 1. And then I want roughness to be next, so I've given it a 2, and so on. And it works the same way with my outputs. I can give them sort priority 2, 1, and 0 so that they come out in this order. And that way I don't have to cross wires when I'm wiring things together. If base color and specular and roughness were in a different order, the wires would be crossed, and that's just not quite as organized. Okay, so now instead of all of this, what I can do is wire my base color into here, wire my specular into here, wire my roughness into here, and then I can take my base color going out here, my specular going out here, and my roughness going out here. Now, here is my wetness mask, and if I wire this wetness mask into there, I should end up with the same result. So let's take a look. All right, there's one last thing that we need to do, and that is define our porousness. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of this because it's basically just a duplicate of what we've got here in our wetness node. So we're defining the entire surface as wet, and I'm also going to add a constant and define my porousness. So with a value of 0 for porousness, what this means is that this surface is completely impermeable. But actually stone is quite porous and it lets things soak in. So I'm just going to change this to a value of 1. And what you'll see is the surface remains shiny, but it now becomes slightly darker and more saturated like we were talking about before. Yeah, so now I've got a nice wet stone wall, and I created this function for defining the wetness. So I'm able to hide all of the complexity of what it takes to make a surface look wet inside this one single node. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this first video in the series of how to create rain effects. Next week, like I said, we're going to talk about doing raindrops, and then the following weeks we're going to do additional rain effects as well. So this idea of putting material nodes into a single function is something that we're going to use a lot. We're going to create a function for the raindrops, functions for all of the rest of the rain effects, and then wire those functions together to create a single function that does all of our rain. It's going to be pretty cool, so I hope you stick around. Be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so that you'll know when new videos come out. Going to try to get a new one out every Thursday. Alright, thanks, and see you next time.